had that fallen into the wrong hands, the wrong Scott Stallings hands, like even like a third one where the guy wasn't as nice, Augusta would have had a real problem on their hands.
Yep.
Like a real problem. That guy would have, imagine him showing up with like lawyers being like, I'm playing. You know what I mean? Like lawyers saying, I'm playing in the
it's
I'm not
invite
just
only,
coming,
and he has an invite.
I'm playing. You invited me.
Foreplay, presented by Barstool Sports, brought to you by our very good friends at Chevrolet. It's 2023. 2023. I got to say, when I wrote that date down, I think we're entering the years that I just wasn't never prepared for or never thought would actually enter a real calendar that I'm part of.
What was the year in iRobot? What year does iRobot take place?
Good
the Will
question.
Smith movie.
Good
because
question.
I remember hearing that when I was a kid or whenever that came out and being like, boy, that feels like a fake year. And I bet we're in that area.
2035.
Okay.
2035. So yeah, I mean, we're kind of getting into that realm. I feel like I was thinking about the year 2019, which we've spoken about a lot. Great year. Tiger Woods wins the Masters. St. Louis Blues won the Stanley Cup. Great year. That was 4 years ago now. That's not. I mean, I feel like we're kind of just still in 2019, President's Cup, that whole deal. Maybe if it was a year ago, you could get over that, whatever. 4 years ago was 2019. What?
Yeah, that makes no sense.
What?
Yeah.
It's unfortunate.
I do think, I've mentioned it before, but I do think that 2020, with everything that happened, screwed up time for me in particular, and I think a lot of people where, right, that doesn't seem like 3 years ago, that seems like 8 months ago. And I don't know how to justify it in my brain. I don't know what to tell myself. But yeah, the fact that Tiger won the Masters 4 years ago, that was when Game of Thrones finished up. That was 4 years ago. Like those things don't feel like they're that far ago, but they are. It's very odd.
So if you entered college in the fall of 2019, would you be graduating this spring? Is that right?
Ooh.
19 to 20, 20, 21, 21 to 22. Yeah, you'd be graduating in May or June.
Think about that. That's like since the President's Cup experience that we had, someone has almost gone through an entire college experience.
The 2019 President's Cup just looms large in this group constantly.
Well, it was a big moment. Also, I was randomly thinking about this. I was 16 years old 17 years ago.
Yeah. Yep.
My dad did this, like basically someone turned 30 and he's like, I'm 100% more than your age right now. But then when you're 60 and I'm like 90, we're going to be closer in percentage. So
right.
He's like, I'm catching up to you. And that really fucked me up mentally. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yep.
It was really good math on his part of being like, I'm just kind of like slowly getting older. You're rapidly getting older.
Because in my head, and I'm guessing in your head too, it should stay the same.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
At what age do you like level off? Is it like from like late 60s, early 70s? Like I get that you like anything could happen at that point. You're just really old. But I feel like you're sort of what you got at like 70, unless you catch something horrible, illness, pass away. Like if someone's 70 or 90, you could kind of do like, I don't know. I just feel like you sort of level off and you're just old for a while unless you die.
I think it's like 75. There are some 70-year-olds these days that are pretty spry and like they move pretty well. You know what I mean?
Is like,
I think 70 is kind of the new age I think once you're
that
75.
we're starting to get to, I feel like with like me and Trent, like every year is pretty drastically different. Like I can't
your body's
go up
moving
stairs
quick.
all of a sudden. And it used to be for 20 plus years, I was fine. And then it's like every year is your Adam Sandler in Big Daddy,
Click.
where he's like, I have a fucking
saying click.
Well, I have a
Just getting
milkshake
older
and my
every time
ass
you hit a
shakes
button.
for like a week, you know? And it's like I feel like we're at that.
I'm chronically ill. I have not been not sick or something wrong with me for 3.5 years. Like when I was in my 20s, I guess I imagined that every part of my life was going to be like that, where I was invincible. I could just do anything I wanted. I could drink whatever I wanted. I could eat whatever I wanted. And I'd wake up the next day, like at worst, I'd feel 2% worse. And now if I do anything out of the ordinary, I'm in real trouble. I'm down 70%.
a good amount of driving talk on this show. Trent driving around an island, Trent driving around Long Island. I know people that had to drive from St. Louis to Phoenix due to Southwest Airlines and that whole debacle, which we get into. If you're driving, we're in the future now. It's 2023. We spoke about that as well. You got to have EVs, and you got to get an EV from Chevy.
Yeah, EVs are the way of the future. You watch a lot of documentaries. You do a lot of Googling. You realize that these fossil fuels, all this stuff, at some point it's gonna run out, and we need to be there now. We have to be in the future
2023.
now.
It is the future,
right?
We do talk about that on the show.
We're here.
2023. Imagine, I was born in 1989. 2023 is the future.
It's the
We're
future.
there.
And you need to have an EV, and you got to look at these infotainment systems. I spent the whole week kind of sitting on my couch. We were off. It was Christmas time. You're getting gifts, and then you're thinking my lease is up in a couple months. Let me starting to see the trims and the colors and the infotainment systems. You know who else drives a Chevy and it always goes viral? Fucking Scotty Scheffler drives a Chevy Suburban.
175,000 miles, and it's still kicking because it's like a
175,000 miles driving his Chevrolet vehicle. And the guy is one of the best golfers on the planet. Literally one of the best golfers on the planet. And he drives a Chevy still to this day. He could buy any car in the world, but he loves that Chevy. That's his rock.
Dude, I'm looking at this Blazer EV online right now. Slick. I think, because I'm like you, Frankie, my lease that I had from 3 years ago ends this year. The Chevy Blazer EV, that's what I'm looking at, man. You can build those out and start to reserve those now on Chevrolet's website. They got the Bolt, which you can go right on right now and get. They got the Silverados coming out, so you can again go on their website, build that puppy out, reserve it so you're ready to go. The EVs from Chevrolet are affordable. You don't have to be rich to have an EV. And Chevrolet supports us. They support the Classic, our podcast, our videos. So we're all one. We're synergy with Chevrolet. Great brand with a phenomenal history. And now the Chevy EVs are for everyone, everywhere.
Speaking of doing whatever you want, what did everyone do during this break? We really did nothing for the last 3 weeks. Trent, you went to fucking Hawaii.
I did. I went to Hawaii.
How'd that go?
I do want to hear about it.
It was great. I was on Maui. It was beautiful. It was wonderful. I did a lot of what I do here, which is nothing. But I did it on a beach, which is amazing.
You feel better about doing nothing in Hawaii than you do in
You really do, because you're like, oh, I'm on vacation. Everyone here is on vacation. Everyone here is doing nothing. If I had to do it over again, and I was talking to my mom on the phone yesterday about this, I wouldn't do it over Christmas. That would be the thing that I would change.
Too many kids, right?
No, just that. The reason I did it over Christmas this time was because I didn't think my parents were going to be in Cedar Rapids. My dad was getting his knee replaced, and he was going to do the rehab in Arizona, blah, blah, blah. The dates got switched around. So they ended up being in Cedar Rapids for Christmas. And I felt the pangs of I wish I was with my family, because I knew that they were getting together, because I planned the trip under the impression that they weren't going to be together. So on Christmas Day, I was just kind of it's great to be on Maui, and I'm on a beach, and it's beautiful, and I'm frolicking in the Pacific Ocean. But I knew that my folks and my siblings were together. So the only thing I would change is I would move it by 3 days. Everything else was perfect. It's the most perfect place on the planet.
What did you do each day? What did you do? What was a day for Trent in Hawaii?
I would get up.
What was your third day like?
It's a good start.
Yeah, I would definitely wake up. Well, the thing too, and I know that Dan Rapp is experiencing this right now. He is there right now, and it's a 5-hour difference, so it is drastic. I would say
it's a little fun when you wake up, because things have happened already during the day.
Oh, Maui!
You know what I mean?
People don't know that. They can hear him.
Are we done?
Local.
Are we back?
Oh, true. We can't though. It kind of kills the conversation.
We lost you, Danny.
Am I back now?
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm saying it's great. It's a fun wake up experience because things have happened. Because when you wake up, it's already 11:30 on the East Coast, and you got emails, you got text messages. Things have already gone viral. It's more of an electrifying wake up experience than rolling out of bed at 8:30 in New York.
Fun is not the word I would use. Fun is it's anxiety for me. It's pure anxiety. Because you're right. I would go to bed at. It's funny because it's a 5-hour difference from the East Coast, and by 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock in Maui, no one that I am in contact with is doing anything. And I know, Riggs, you experience that a little bit living in Arizona, where once a time hits, when it's regular bedtime for the people on the East Coast, it's silence, which honestly for me was kind of nice. It was a little 5-hour gap where I could just sit and not have to worry about my phone, not have to worry about, something crazy happening that I have to react to on social media. But then you get the flip side of that in the morning, because you wake up at 7 and it's noon on the East Coast and things are very much happening. Every morning I woke up with 15 text messages at least. And that I got to just rifle through them. Like, please don't be, I'm fired. Please don't be somebody that is like, what the fuck? Why aren't you responding to this? Luckily it was never that, but I didn't like the morning being noon on the East Coast. That gave me too much anxiety.
So you woke up and then what happened? Then what would you do?
There was this great coffee place across the street from where I stayed, called Java Jazz Java. And they had great breakfast. They had great coffee. I'd get a nice coffee from there. It's not like what you're picturing for a Hawaii spot. It's not outdoors on the ocean. It was this cool indoor, like crazy decor on the inside. I don't even know how to explain it. You'll have to Google it, but I would get a coffee and, I'd get pancakes or whatever from there. And then the rest of the day,
we're about an hour into the day. We got I would say 16 more to go, maybe. Before
so you come out of that coffee shop, you got pancakes in your belly, you got coffee in your hand, and you just kind of like, do you make a left?
I usually go to the
right?
beach after that. Okay. I usually go right to the beach. I'd get, I'd get my flip flops on, and I took a picture, a very touristy picture that I didn't end up putting up, but I sent to a lot of people where I just look like a tourist. And I would get my flip flops and my towel and my book, and I would walk down to the beach.
Selfie, or did you have somebody take a shot of you?
No, I was like it was a mirror. It was a selfie in the hotel mirror.
Okay.
And then I would go to the beach for a few hours, just hang out there, let the waves hit my feet a little bit.
Perfect weather.
Dude, 77 every single day. Sunny every single day. It was vacation for a lot of people, but it wasn't an overcrowded, crazy beach. I think the place that I stayed, you only had access to that beach if you were staying there. So there were there were a few people there, but it wasn't crazy. And then lunch was probably my favorite part of every day. I remember when I originally went to Hawaii with my pals, we went to Oahu in 2011. We would go to this place called L&L Hawaiian Barbecue for lunch. We'd go every single day. And I went there again every single day for lunch. And I got chicken katsu, rice, and macaroni salad. Best macaroni salad on the planet. L&L Barbecue. For sure. There were times throughout the trip where I would just wander over there and get a side of macaroni salad and just walk around.
Just the perfect amount of mayo in there.
Dude. Oh my God. It's unlike any other mac salad that I've had. And unfortunately, you have to fly a long way to get it, but it is worth it once you get there. So I do that every day for lunch.
Familiar with the staff at these establishments that you frequented every day?
Yeah. Yeah. They knew it. They're like, oh, here comes that fat white guy. They're like that chicken katsu.
Did you do anything? I guess did you do anything out of the Trent ordinary? Would you say like that would shock us on the show? Where you went did you go zip lining or something?
No,
where it's like holy fuck.
No, and that's a good way to phrase that question. And the answer is no. And the only thing that I did that not even would surprise you, but I drove around a lot of the island, and I would go to different beaches and just check it out. I love seeing the different types of scenery. I love doing that on Long Island. I'll just drive around and I'll find different places that are cool looking. But no, I didn't go snorkeling. I didn't ride dolphins. I didn't watch whales. I didn't go ziplining.
Did your skin touch the ocean at all?
Yes. Oh yeah. I was in the ocean. When I would go to the beach, I'd frolic and I'd go
shoulders deep.
Oh yeah. Head deep.
Wow.
So, but the reason, and it's a good question from you, but my answer is I guess part of the reason I go on a trip like that by myself is because I don't want people to be like, let's go zip lining or snorkeling. Would I have fun at those things? Probably. But on my trip to Maui, I wanted to just sit and read a book and frolic in the ocean and do a lot of nothing except eat and relax.
Sounds fantastic.
It was nice.
It does sound nice. That sounds really nice.
Another thing that was weird about it would be dinner. I would have loved to have had one person to go to dinner with, but then never see them again throughout the trip. I need someone exactly like me to go on a trip like that, where once 6 o'clock hits, we text each other and we say, hey, let's go to dinner. And then we go to dinner for 2-3 hours. and then we bounce.
If only there was someone else, in your orbit who was
how hard was it for
I don't think we overlapped that much.
How hard was it for you to avoid Dan Rappaport on the island? Was it a conscious effort? Like
it's a pretty big
shoulder.
Were you guys on the same island? You're on the same island?
We're on the same island. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think we overlapped by like 36 hours though.
Oh yeah, it was really short. Yeah, we didn't have time to hang out anyway. So
I do think that, but maybe I'm wrong.
No, I think you're right. I've had a nice break. I've had a really tough realization that's going to lead to some really tough emails that I didn't want to send. And that realization is I'm just not a size 32 waist anymore. That's just a thing of the past. I was always like a eat whatever you want kind of guy, and never had an issue. I was a 30, I think, in high school, and then I moved to 32 in college. So I was like, oh, I'm bigger now, college guy. My body's developing. And I've been at 32 ever since. 6 years since college. It's just not happening anymore. I played golf the day before yesterday for 18 holes with my shorts unbuttoned the entire time. Wow. Yeah. So I'm going to have to email some of our friends and say, hey, I know that, 32 is what we talked about, but 32 is not happening anymore. So I'm in 34 life. It's nice because I've been trying to squeeze into the 32s for a little while now, trying to lie to myself. And I feel like I'm finally coming home. It's like a balding guy who decides to shave his head finally in the end. It's like, all right, just accept what's happening.
That's right. There's no need. Just stop denying it. Stop denying it and just get those 34s.
We're 34.
I spent a lot of the break demanding the resignation of the Southwest Airlines CEO.
You tweeted out, or maybe Instagram story, you said, I think Southwest has fallen. And that one made me laugh for a long time because that wording is so perfect.
Can you walk us through the whole thing? Because I want to say, as no free ads, but as a Delta guy, I flew about as far as you can go throughout this trip, and I didn't have any single problem. I was in an airport. I was out of an airport at the right times, and there was just it went off without a hitch. So can you tell me what happened with your Southwest debacle?
It's a great week to be any other airline other than Southwest because they looked like just $1 trillion. I actually overall got pretty lucky because I didn't miss anything, but I showed up to the airport at 1 p.m. on Christmas Day. And the reason I did that is all our family does pretty much everything Christmas Eve or Christmas morning. And then I always find myself on Christmas at like 11 when my brother has to go to his 2 other stops with his family. I got nothing to do the rest of the day. And I'm kind of around. Everybody's kind of like lazy. You still got a whole other week of vacation and nothing really goes on. So I was like, I'm just going to fly out that afternoon. I've flown on Christmas before because college hockey, you pretty much always do a Christmas tournament. So a lot of times, like I spent Christmas flying in the morning or whatever back. So I was like, airports are usually empty on Christmas Day. Everybody flies the 23rd, 22nd, and then people fly 26, 27, 28. I show up, get through security, no problem. There's really not that many people there. Get there about 1:15, flights at 3 o'clock. I left the airport at 1:30 in the morning. And Southwest was just doing the whole thing where every 15 to 30 minutes, they would just say it's delayed another 30 minutes. Start to realize that the plane that we need to go from St. Louis back to Phoenix has not left Miami. So at any update that they give us, we're at least 4 hours away from leaving at any moment. And they just keep delaying it 30 minutes. Like I said, I was lucky because my Christmas was done. On 23rd, hung out with a bunch of my buddies. We watched the Blues game. Christmas Eve with my giant family. Christmas morning with my direct family. I'm pretty much done. I'm on vacation. Not a big deal. So I just went to the bar. There's football on all day. Wasn't bad. I had 3 meals at the bar at the airport hotel, at the airport bar from like 1:45 until 9 o'clock. And then at 9 o'clock, I started tweeting about it at like 6 or 7. I started to get pretty rattled. Tweet about it. This guy hits me up that's on the Miami flight. And he's like, dude, we haven't left yet. We've been here for like 8 hours straight. They're telling us we just don't have a flight attendant. So everyone's ready. The plane's ready. The fucking pilots are ready. They don't have flight attendants, so they can't leave. So clearly something's fucking going on. I start looking on Twitter, and it's chaos across the country. Every mention of like Southwest is just a fucking nightmare. And then I find myself at 9 o'clock. They tell us all of a sudden the departure time is 9:50, which means there must be a new plane change the gate. We all go over there. People had gone home. They come running back through the gate, try to get there. Again, they don't have a fucking flight attendant or flight crew. So now at like 9:35, they're trying to find employees. The pilot comes out. He's giving out chocolates. Like all the employees are doing the best that they possibly can, trying to help everybody out. Now we go from 9:30-ish. We all got there and they tell us we're going to take off till 12:30 at night. They finally say flight is canceled. And they did the whole thing where they found a pilot. Pilot timed out 10 minutes before we were supposed to leave. They finally find 2 or 3 flight attendants. They time out so they can't fly.
Can I ask a question at this point? How strict is the attendance of particular pilots and in particular flight attendants to a flight actually taking off? Because I would venture to guess a lot of people, 100% of people on that flight would be like, let's just go with a pilot. I don't need my lukewarm Diet Coke on my way to Phoenix.
You should have heard people volunteering to be flight attendants on the flight, every person on the flight. And so I guess the number that was being thrown around, and it's almost like the show Lost. It's like you become best friends with all these people over the fucking 10 hours, 12 hours that you're there. So the theory that was going around was you need 1 flight attendant per 50 people on a flight. That's like FAA regulations.
Okay.
And so if you don't have it, you like literally can't fucking fly, whatever. Starts to get to the point at like 10:30 at night now. There's a few people at the gate that start to get rattled. And at this point, I've had like 10 beers. I'm kind of chilling. I don't really have anywhere to be. So it's not like, sucks when you have to somewhere to be. Family, you miss Christmas. There was a whole crew of 15 people that were all family and friends that all had the same Christmas sweater on. They were so excited to do like Sunday evening in Arizona for Christmas. And they're just all sweating and like kids are crying and they've been there for fucking 12 hours. So those people got fucked. One of the flight attendants was literally bawling her eyes out once they told her she had timed out because she knew that everyone was going to be fucked. So it was chaos. There were 2 people at like 10:30 or whatever at night that started to get rattled. And one guy actually said, he goes up to the gate attendant or whatever, and he goes, "This is inhumane. I'm going to call the news." Is what he said.
Just a vague threat to call the local news.
You know the guy Ed Bassmaster, that he's a comedian on Instagram, and he does all those. Would you look at this? He does a thing where he'll film someone walking down the street with a couple dogs, and he'll be like, "I'm putting you on the news," and the guy will be like, "What?" Like, "I'm putting you on the fucking news." And he's become famous for this. It's the best. He gets the most ridiculous reactions of all time.
Now you guys realize the power of the pen, the power these journalists have, man. Local news.
Right.
You do not want to get blown up.
Dude, and then this gate attendant, he just looked at the guy and goes, "All right." Like he just
it is funny. You say it gets to be like Lost. You do realize that a show like that, while it's a bit science fiction, but at a certain point, and in this scenario, 8-10 hours into it, people will start to lose their minds and they'll start to like make their own clans and like we're about to lose our minds out here.
Dude, this one dude, and I felt bad for him. It was him, his wife, and their like 3-year-old girl who was screaming, crying in his hands. And this guy, he just looked so miserable. He was a Jewish guy, had his yarmulke on, he had a mask on, and then he was an overweight guy. So he's like, he just was sweating and uncomfortable, and eventually goes up to the gate attendant, and he's not even holding his child in like a respectable manner at this point. The child is like in one arm. He's like flailing the thing around, screaming, and he's up there, and the gate attendant can't even understand him because he's got this thick mask on, and he's screaming. He's like, I can't believe you guys are going to leave us here. What the fuck? And the gate attendant's like, "I can't understand you, sir. I'm sorry." And it was just fucking chaos. But to the Lost point, it got like, and everyone's going to be like, why didn't people just leave or change? There's no other options. The only option if you left, if your flight's canceled, you leave, there's a flight. This is Sunday on Christmas Day. The next flight out was Thursday, that Southwest had. So like, everyone's like, we have to get on this plane. If we don't really have a choice, because after that, if you called the Southwest hotline or customer service, it went straight to a busy signal. So all day, there's nowhere to help. The only thing you could do is go to one of the desks at the airport. The desks were 5+ hour lines, every one of them. I'm talking hundreds of people in these lines that wrapped around like a snake around the entire airport. So if you missed your flight or your flight got canceled, you were just like subject to waiting there, hoping it took off. And if it didn't, You then had to enter this line. So luckily, because I didn't have anything, I just was able to, at like 1 a.m. when they canceled our flight, I booked a United flight at 7 a.m. to Denver. I just bypassed Arizona, 7 a.m. United to Denver, and I just went home. And when I left, I gave like hugs to 2 or 3 different people that you've become like lost friends with. And then they went and entered a 5 to 10 hour line at 1 a.m. to try to figure out how they're going to rebook or what they're going to do. And then after that, they went and stood in a 3, 4, 5 hour line in baggage claim to try to get their bags back. And I was just like,
it's a shit show.
No,
it's an absolute shit show.
So
what was the problem?
So I like I said, I booked a hotel, slept for 2 hours, got on a plane, flew to my parents' place in Boulder, where they've kind of retired to now. And I just slept all day until they made it there later that night. And then I was waking up, I was looking at all the Southwest stuff. Turns out, I think what the issue is, Southwest has a massively antiquated back-end system for scheduling all of their flight attendants and their pilots. Okay. And that wouldn't be a huge issue for most airlines because every other major airline does a hub system, which is pretty simple. Like if you fly from Denver
you know the details on this. I'm impressed. You got the down low.
Hub system.
If you fly from Denver to like Phoenix, that plane goes back from Phoenix to Denver, or even if it goes up to Seattle, it eventually like returns. So your crew pretty much stays in a simple, small orbit where they could be easily tracked, accessed, and utilized when they need to be. Southwest, because they offer all these different direct flights, which is the reason I had to take them, they don't have a hub system and they don't fly the same routes every day. So someone might go from fucking Phoenix to St. Louis to Buffalo to Miami and then across to Seattle the next day or whatever. And so what happens is when their system breaks down, which it did, they don't know where the fuck anybody is. They don't know where any of their flight attendants are. They don't know where any of their pilots are. And the only way they could figure out where they are is those people had to call and report where they were. And that was taking up all of the customer service, all of the manpower that Southwest had. And in order for them to finally be able to put together a schedule to get people around the country per FAA regulations, they had to first get their shit together and realize where everybody is so that they could then come up with a schedule. Henceforth, for several days in a row, they canceled like 70% of their flights around the country. They so just canceled them. And then the whole trickle-down effect was like, they didn't have anybody to help you. They didn't have anybody to get your bags. They didn't have anybody to fly the planes or to work the crew. So it just was a trickle down. And I happened to be at the very beginning of that. So it was a fucking disaster. There was one day where Southwest canceled like 2,600 flights I saw by like 8 a.m. And the next most was like 22 cancellations by the next
chaos.
Day. So I saw you were calling for the head of the Southwest CEO. You know, you wanted
I wanted his head on a spike.
You wanted him to have to explain to his family why he got fired between Christmas and New Year's. And I saw your reasoning was basically you're the head of a company and your company fails and you've got to go. So even if I want you just get your position, even if it was 100% not his fault and this system is not something that he can change overnight, the hub system, now we know the intricacies of the hub system, them not being on it probably hurt their case. You're saying it doesn't matter if you are the leader of an organization and your organization has that big of a fuck up, then you have to go no matter what.
Well, Dan, you don't realize that this has happened before recently where their system basically failed.
So you're saying they should have overhauled the system in between the two?
What I'm saying is, yes, they known for years, and this has been reported for years, and they've had massive meltdowns within the last year, almost identical to this situation. And so what infuriates me is if that guy had run a perfect company, but he had a dumb tweet 10 years ago, people would demand his resignation. But if he can't actually do the job, which his job is to run an effective company, and he ruins thousands of people's Christmases and New Year's, luckily I was able to be saved, then you can't do the job. And I looked up, he makes like at least $3.5-4+ million a year, which I have no problem with executives making a ton of money, especially like people shit on Roger Goodell all the time, makes $40-50 million a year. Look how successful the NFL has been under Roger Goodell. He deserves that money. Pay him the fucking money. That's great. He's made everybody billions of dollars. It's great for him. If you're not doing the job and your company is failing and you're failing all of your employees, all of your flight attendants, all of your gate attendants, all your customer service people, all the pilots, all the people that paid for flights that are now fucked, you're out, in my opinion. And people are like, oh, what'd you expect him to say? That was a good statement. He's not a spokesperson. He's the CEO. The CEO can put out a good spokesperson CEO or message. Spokesperson can do that. The CEO's job is to operate the company. He's the chief executive officer. He is supposed to be the officer of running the company, and he failed.
Well, then the airlines can do whatever they want. There's no like real regulations with these people, and then they just get bailed out by the government whenever they do fail, and they just continue on the charade. We just spend all of our tax dollars to keep them fucking alive, and then that's it.
And the only new airline in the last 20 years is fucking Spirit Airlines, which is like a spit in the face to every consumer. There's been no like great airline to hop on the scene.
And then you've got these innocent Southwest frontline workers who are getting yelled at by these people who want to get back for Christmas and New Year's, which I understand. Like you got the two sides, the Southwest workers and the people who want to get back. They're well-intentioned people, and they're just ripping each other's throats out. And there's that CEO making $4 million where he's just like, yeah, I'm going to put out this statement and that's going to be it. And we're going to be good.
Dude, and it came out like Tuesday morning or something, and I'm like, he clearly was just sitting by the fire with his family over the weekend, having a nice Christmas, and he's like, I'm gonna get back to the office Monday or Tuesday, and we'll kind of get this ship going in the right direction. You're like, dude,
wow,
it was, and it sucked seeing the other people whose family whose like Christmases were fucking ruined. Like there were people everywhere that were just devastated. I was like, man, that is a problem. And to answer your question, Dan, that man is the head of all of that. They got to get someone in there that can just make sure that can't happen again, or if it does, communicate or be prepared for it or whatever. Because like when I tweeted like Southwest Airlines has fallen, that's what happened.
Exactly
Airline has true. It just fell apart. It's like it just wasn't working.
Wow.
To end this airplane talk on sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Frankie, but to just end this airplane talk, it's the last thing I have on airplanes. Have you guys ever flown into the Salt Lake City airport?
No.
It's breathtaking. It was one of the highlights of my trip, honestly. I flew from JFK to Salt Lake City, then Salt Lake City to Maui. I flew into Salt Lake City, during the day. It is gorgeous. It's beautiful. It's
you look out the window, see a bunch of people soaking.
No, you see mountains and you see snow and you see it's gorgeous. It's unlike any airport I've ever flown into.
Is it in the middle of the mountains? I think I've seen a picture of it.
Yeah, it is.
It's pretty crazy.
Dude, I couldn't believe it. I was stunned.
I realized once I moved out here, a lot of people vacation in Utah. Utah gets a little bit of a weird rep for some of the religious shit that goes on there, obviously. But Utah is a stunning place. Like Salt Lake City is absolutely gorgeous with the mountains all around the lake. So yeah, it is probably the coolest place to fly into. I think like Monterey's up there too, that little airport in Monterey. When you fly into that. But yeah, Salt Lake City. It's a good call.
It was so unexpected. That's what it was. I flew into Maui. I flew into Maui at night, but I had flown into Oahu all those years ago during the day, and it's beautiful. And I was expecting it to be beautiful. Salt Lake City, I was like, oh, I'm just going to fly in, I'm going to fly out. And we were starting to get ready to land, and I was like, what is this? This is the most beautiful place I've ever seen.
We flew into Monterey when David Ortiz got shot, and we didn't have any Wi-Fi.
Oh wow,
we didn't have internet.
Right. We didn't have Wi-Fi, so we landed. The Blues had won, and they advanced to the Stanley Cup Finals. And then
2019,
David Ortiz got shot. 2019, and we were just that was a really, really surreal walk off the plane, because you get off the plane, you walk on the tarmac there, and the fucking sunset was coming down, and you're looking around, there was like palm trees, and you're like, where the hell did we just land? Wait, David Ortiz is shot? Is he dead?
Yeah.
It was nuts.
I didn't know if he was live.
My vacation was I just stayed home and did a lot of Long Island stuff, saw a lot of family. I hosted a lot in my first year in the house. That was a lot of fun. We hosted a lot. We had a lot of people over this house. It was a lot of fun. Did a lot of just things that I love to do: sit on the couch, watch TV, play a lot of video games, played a lot of PGA Tour 2K23. I got into pickleball. I played my first pickleball match over the break.
How'd you fare?
I loved it. It's got me hook, line, and sinker. It's a fucking fantastic sport. It is an amazing, amazing activity to play. I will say that we're talking about getting older. I couldn't even sit on the toilet the next day after playing my first pickleball match. I don't know what happened to my ass cheeks. Something about like the stance, because you're always so low. And
used them in 5 years.
It's the constant crouching and the constant like
you're doing so much. You're basically doing You're doing like 2 hours worth of squats and you're like running around. It's insane how much of a good workout is. But then you look to your right and like old Susie Lou, like 85 years old, is like playing a doubles match.
Well, that's
with,
like
her
when
husband.
you go to if you ever go to a yoga class, it's the same thing. You go to a yoga class for the first time, you're like, all right, I'm going to get limber, and you can't do any of the poses. And there's 95-year-old women who are standing on their heads for 3 hours.
I love everything about pickleball. Yoga's a nightmare. I love everything about
hard yoga. Sorry, Frankie.
No, it's okay. I mean, yoga sucks. Anything like that sucks. Anyone that does yoga sucks. I mean, it's impossible. You need I'd rather just lift the weights.
It's a stretch. Right, they talk about like you're just stretching. It's like
they con you into people, and they con you into it's namaste. It's going to be relaxing and peaceful, and you're going to feel parts of your body you never felt before. That last part is the only part that's true because you are so sore the next day that you're feeling like Frankie. You can't take a shit.
I could not sit down, dude. I was in so much pain that I was laughing all day. Like I was walking around like a 90-year-old man. So I'm actually playing again today. Hopefully, like the more I go, I'm just going to build up a little bit more muscle in the spots that I literally have never used before, I guess. So I did that. That was a lot of fun. I love the idea of like it's all a touch game. That's the thing I really enjoyed about it. There's no like slamming really. The dinking and the dunking and the kitchen line and like there's a lot of I learned all the new words and all the lingo. I felt
Big
really
Rob
cool.
dog walking you.
Big Rob's a fucking problem out there. Big Rob is a problem on the fucking courts, dude. He has so much length. He's 6'5". So, and he's crazy athletic with his hands. He's got amazing hand-eye coordination. So, like, you hit it anywhere above his hip, it's coming right back at you. I mean, I would assume Lurch is very similar in that aspect, where like he's just right there by the net. So, like, if you're trying to dink it, like he can reach over basically and slam dunk it in your face. It's insane. He has crazy length, and he definitely isn't as mobile. So doubles is his game. Like singles, I think he could get probably torn apart. But yeah, a lot of fun. I'm like definitely gonna get like a paddle and like start playing a ton of paddle. Dude, there's a place here called Pickleball Plus in like West Hempstead. It's right by UBS Arena, and they have 15 courts. And the place is so like updated and new that when you're in the entrance, they have all these TVs and you can watch people's matches on all the courts. Like you're watching fucking professional sports, and you're watching like these old women play in a fucking intense match and they're going crazy and screaming. And then you go out there and you feel like you're under the lights because you know there's a camera on your game. It's so much fun. It's the coolest place ever. I'll be there every day.
I played some pickleball as well. My Emma's uncle is a really good pickleball player, and it was a little annoying. A really good pickleball player is a little bit annoying to play against, way more so than a good golfer, because the way they play impacts you, right? If you're playing with a good golfer, it's just like, oh, like this is fun to watch. When you're playing with a good pickleball player, you're like, well, this guy's ruining my time. Yeah. So I felt like a shitty golfer, and I did not like that feeling of like, this guy's way fucking better than me, and not only is he way better than me, but him being way better than me directly negatively impacts my enjoyment of the experience. And I just wanted to kill that guy.
Yeah, you looked pretty frustrated when you smoked that one in the net on that clip that I saw there.
That was a tough clip.
That was a tough clip. That was a tough clip. There was a lot of sweat. Soaking wet.
So sweaty.
Florida is humid, but like I need to lose
humid.
like I need to lose like 12 pounds. I'm pushing 34. I got to lose like 10 to 12 pounds.
It's all about
just
toning.
A sweaty guy. No, you're just a sweaty guy. Like you don't need to lose anyway, dude. I look at you and I'm like, fuck, you're in good shape. But you're just a sweaty. You have overactive sweat glands.
Got the little cum belly.
So my hands, as you guys know, are incredibly sweaty, and I got this treatment to try and fix them, and it made everything a lot worse. So I don't think the sweat's ever going to stop.
Bro, you just gotta.
What do you mean a treatment?
Like you can.
You're just a
you can get like shot. There's first of all, there's topical cream that you can get, and I would just get so nervous.
What you got?
I would get so nervous when I was putting it on because my dad would be like, "I got you this cream. It's gonna fix your problems." And then I would put the cream on.
Daddy got you cream?
And I would get so nervous that my hands would be sweatier than before. There's a Botox treatment, but then you can lose feeling in your hands.
You don't want to do that.
Well, real quick, Big Rob did this thing, and pickleball players will know it, I guess. I guess tennis players would know it too, but he did an around the post shot. And
yeah, it's sick.
I didn't know it. I felt like I was Jackie Moon and why am I not thinking of the movies? Semi-Pro, where they do the alley-oop and they're just like foul. Like they didn't know.
No, two fouls.
Because he just basically went to this ball that was out of play, like around the net, and just smoked one low on the other side. And we all just looked at him. We're like, that's illegal. Like that's the most illegal thing ever. And he's like, no, if this happened in a professional game, the crowd would have went fucking nuts. Like that's the most athletic, cool thing you can do in pickleball. Is like you do an ATP and the place loses their fucking mind. So that was a cool thing to see.
Frankie, I got something to put on your radar here. A couple months ago, I started following the Dink Pickleball, which is one of these like viral pickleball accounts on Instagram.
I'll do that right now.
They're big foreplay fans, and they reached out and said, time for some foreplay times pickleball content. How do we make it happen? Tell us where to fly. We'll bring the pros.
So we'll go play a Pickleball Plus and we'll just make this happen. This is insane.
So
we have to. Lurch has got to be involved because he is the best pickleball player we got.
We gotta have him.
I've never even played. I don't even know how to play.
I haven't either.
It's so much fun, guys.
There's a
it's
pickleball bar in Southie in Boston that my buddy was playing in, like the championship I went to. What a culture that whole thing is. But the Dink Pickleball, follow them.
All right, we're in.
Great shit on there.
Dude, the thing that I love about it is that it's with a wiffle ball and like you can really crank it and it doesn't go that far. So it's like that's the best part and the worst part, because the worst part is when you're at the net and someone kind of slams on at you, you think that all you need to do is just like raise the paddle and it'll bounce off it and go the other way. But it's kind of dead feeling. So like it's all about your own fucking you losing points for yourself. You know what I mean? There's so many unforced errors of you being like, mentally, I'm just going to dink this thing back because all I need to do is just like have it hit my paddle and it just goes straight into the net. You have to give it a little bit of a flick. And that I cannot understand yet. I played 5 games and I like kept consciously trying to hit this thing like soft and it would just be too soft. And I was getting so mad being like, why do I keep doing that? Why do I keep thinking it's a tennis racket where it's going to pop? It's just not. It's a rock hard paddle.
I've never quite seen anything take over the culture like pickleball. Like it's not only are there courts popping up everywhere. I know that Kevin Durant, like he bought into a professional pickleball league. Like it's also really taking over the world.
It's also very controversial because a lot of tennis facilities are converting themselves to pickleball because, listen, 85-year-old Susie's probably not playing tennis quite as well. She's playing pickleball. She can fly around a pickleball court, but tennis is hard on the body. If any of you have played tennis before in the last 3 years, tennis is insanely hard on the body. So people who are tennis hardos like my sister, they hate pickleball because it's taking all of their court space. So the pickleball hardos have this little community where they're like, fuck the tennis hardos because this is capitalism. Our sport is more fun. Our sport is more fun, and so we're gonna take your land and turn it into our land. It'd be like if
listen. Came up. If Frankie Borelli can play pickleball, no offense, because I'm in the same boat. If Frankie Borelli can play pickleball, have fun, sure, he can't shit the next day, but he's going to continue playing. That's going to win out because it's more accessible to the.
It's a better product. It's a better product, right. And people are probably scratching their eyes out listening, but it's better.
And it's more beneficial for the facility. They get to do double the amount of courts. They charge $80 every 2 hours. They turn that thing over from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. Are you kidding me? They have like 20 courts in this place as opposed to 5 courts if you had tennis. I mean, it was incredible. That math didn't check out, but it's an incredible place. I know what you meant. I can't wait to keep going back. So I did that. And then I want to say the last thing that I did over the break was I watched the Avatar movie in IMAX 3D. I know I get very dramatic and I like to exaggerate things. And my life is one big fucking drama-filled movie with ups and downs. And I talk about how everything's the best in the world. And if you say everything's the best in the world, nothing can be the best in the world. When I tell you that, I'm telling you seriously, man to man. When I tell you that, and I liked Avatar 1. I thought it was cool. I don't watch Avatar for the storyline. Like, what's really going to blow my dick away? The guy's going to save the family from the sky people.
Very simplistic.
It's so simplistic. I watch it for like a movie experience. I thought that when Avatar 1 came out, I'm like, this is really fucking cool. You're thinking the whole time, none of this is real. It's all CGI. It's insane that they did this. When I saw Avatar, The Way of the Water, Avatar 2, IMAX 3D. I'm like, I went by myself. It was like a 1 p.m. movie. I got there at like 10 o'clock. It was like an outdoor mall type place here in Deer Park. I went shopping before. I went into Spencer's and I grabbed all the little boobies, like the little fucking the squeezy boobies in Spencer's.
Oh yeah.
So I'm like looking at all the pictures. They had hilarious ornaments in there. Show me your hoe face. It was fucking Santa railing out a Mrs. Claus. It was insane. I'm not allowed to buy it though because we can't turn our tree into a nightmare apparently. But
I got some Frankie. I got some cool Village Christmas some cool Christmas Village things, but they're stuck in my bag with Southwest.
Oh man, dude, the Village. By the way, when you get a Harry Potter
skating rink, I got an outdoor skating rink.
This is what I'm talking about. Now you start building. Once I got my Harry Potter Village, people started buying that for Christmas for me. I got like Sirius Snape. I got Severus Snape. I got his like home that I guess is in the books, and like it's not even in the movie. Like it's like the crooked. I don't even know what the fuck the house is, but it's so cool. So I get there, I'm jacked up, I'm ready to watch a movie experience. Now, James Cameron, I kind of didn't like the hype he was getting. I wanted to not like this movie because of what he was saying. He's like, it's going to change the movie experience forever. For us to make a profit, we have to be the number one selling movie of all time. Like he's just
super
a fucking
arrogant.
dick.
He always, every time he's got something
he's
like this
hitters
come out,
only though.
He's incredibly arrogant. Yeah, I mean
Bro, I gotta say, without giving I'm telling you, I don't usually like 3D. I get motion sickness. When you go to when you go to like Universal and you have to do one of those 3D things, like we did fucking 3D in Star Wars at Disney, and it was like too much to handle. You're like, your eyes are gonna bulge out of your head. The previews before Avatar made me kind of nauseous because it's like standard 3D. You're like, oh my God, am I really gonna sit here for 3.5 hours? Is how long Avatar 2 is. Am I really gonna sit here for this long and watch this? My eyes were bulging out of my head. I couldn't focus on the fucking on the previews. All of a sudden, it goes to black. The movie's about to start, and something happens where it just gets smooth. And the 3D in Avatar is so much different than the previews that just had gone in front of your eyes.
10 times as much as the previews.
Bro, when I tell you that I've never seen a movie like this, I don't know if I can ever see another movie that isn't exactly the way that he made it. You know what I mean? Like, it changed watching movies for me. I don't even know how to explain it. Like, the most I could say to you guys is like the 3D was insane, but you actually have to see it to believe it. That's how insane. That's how different it is that you have to see it to believe it. And I know he doesn't need like the publicity to fucking have people go see Avatar.
I'm gonna go see it. This is a good sell.
You can't watch this on your TV in your living room. It's just a boring movie of like guys coming down. I don't know how fucking Dan fell asleep during this thing. Like, I wanted it to be 10 hours. I wanted it to be 11 hours of like, when am I ever gonna see this type of shit happening right in front of my eyes? It was fucking wild. The
it
water
should not
scenes,
be
like
shown
the battle
in
scenes on the water.
IMAX 3D. It should only be shown in IMAX 3D.
Bro, it was mind-blowing. I was like saying, whoa, like out loud to myself. Like, you just can't believe he's recreated things. Like, there's like scenes with like these animals that look like whales, like these huge type whale things, and just the way it looks with the 3D. I looked up, I guess in some of the 3D scenes, he like upped the frame rate to make it even more smooth, which has never been done. Like, it's multiple frame rates within the same movie. So like he wanted it to be one. Your eyes are mellow is the way I can describe it. Nothing. My eyes kind of went into like one mode and they never stopped. It was just
it's a good way of putting it.
Smooth.
It's a good way of putting it. A lot of times with 3D, you feel like you're trying to find the object
jittery
that is sticking out. Yeah, and you're kind of like, where am I supposed to be looking? This just felt like you would put on glasses into a new world. It was
and
the most
and the
realistic I've ever seen.
the sound of the water. It was That's enough pub for fucking Avatar, but I think you all should go see it.
Might put it over the edge.
I think it's a really cool experience. I think you're going to be like, in the year 2023, I saw Avatar. That was fucking awesome. You know what I mean?
I'm gonna go
it's
see
like
it. It's on my list.
You should.
It's on my list. I went to the Barstool Arizona Bowl, and it was awesome. It was awesome. There's a lot of nerves going in. You could sense, just because it's a pretty big thing that Barstool hasn't really done before, putting on a bowl game.
Literally,
there's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of people rooting for
Live
Barstool.
Lisa must have been running all over the place.
A lot of people rooting for it to fail or for things to go wrong or whatever. And it was phenomenal. The whole tailgate, I got there like 10:30 in the morning. Game started at like 2:30. Tailgate was amazing. Wyoming shows up. There are people all over the place having a great time. Weather was good in Tucson. MB and her team, they built out kind of the whole tailgate experience. You could kick like a field goal. They're obviously doing the, throw the footballs inside the hole. They're doing the whole deal. Tailgate was fantastic. And then once the game kicked off, they had the Air Force guys parachuting in. You had Big Cat doing the national anthem with the flyover, which was like maybe 2 seconds off, which is pretty damn good. It was like right when he said he was finishing free, the plane started to fly over, and you could actually, as like in real, when you're at the stadium, you could be like, oh, and then he kind of rushed in the home of the Brave to try to catch up, which was great. But overall, that was pretty fucking well done. And I watched the whole first half, almost through the third quarter, actually, which is cool. The teams are into it. It was just very legitimate. It was real, yet there was some humor in it in like the actual experience on the field. And then I drove the hour and 45 minutes back and I listened to it the whole way home. And I thought the broadcast, which is actually very eye-opening and like kind of a, I don't know, like a barometer for a lot of us. If we ever wanted to try to call golf or claim that we could do like a Manning cast version of golf, or if Part of My Take wanted to do football or whatever, that's like a cool barometer to see. I thought it was amazing. I thought Dan and Dave up there, like Jake Marsh is phenomenal at that. That's what he actually wants to do is, live play call. And I think he'll be damn good at it. He had been studying apparently like 20 hours a day and told me forever. I thought Dan and Dave's dichotomy up there and them not being able to say which side they had potentially bet on, and then like trying to sewer the other guy and trying to jinx the kickers while also calling the game and reacting. I thought it was actually really good, really consumable. I thought it was funny and different. So pretty fucking surreal that our company put on an actual legitimate college football bowl game.
It was very cool, and the game was great.
Yeah.
Awesome game.
You never know what you're going to get, and the game ended up going to OT, had a walk-off touchdown. Amazing. I had similar takeaways from you, Riggs, in terms of the broadcast. Jake Marsh in particular. Like that, it's so impressive to me to do that. Like you're saying, if we'd ever want to do something like that someday, or if, any alternative media wants to do something similar to that at some point, you still do need a traditional play-by-play guy to keep it rolling. Like, he's just always there, always providing information, always telling you what's going on. Dan and Dave are obviously very funny and they're very observational, and you need that as well. But just like even the final call from Jake Marsh was great. And you just need that to make it feel, and it is a real bowl game. That's another takeaway that I always think about. And I was thinking about it when we had the college basketball tournament and then when we had the bowl game. Like, we're Barstool and it's very funny and it's, oh my God, I can't believe we're doing this. It's kind of crazy. And you got to remember that the teams involved in it, this is their bowl game. This is very special to them. Like, they want to win. They flew, everybody's flown out, all these players, it's some of these guys' last game. Like, it's important to them. So, it's not a joke, but it is. Like, Barstool is a comedy company. So we're going to do, Frank Tank is going to do the coin toss. Big Cat's going to do the national anthem. But then when the game starts, these guys in the game want to win, and it's very important to them. So that sort of contrast to me is also very interesting. But one of my main takeaways was Jake Marsh is a fucking pro.
He's really he's carrying the load for the journalists. But yeah, I mean, the thing that's funny for me as an outsider is seeing all of you guys who have been at Barstool for so long constantly being like, this is the craziest thing of all time. This is the craziest thing of all time. This is the craziest thing of all time. And it was the same for the basketball tournament. From my perspective and other people who like haven't been there since the beginning, it's like, yeah, this is like a natural progression. It's just, it's funny and kind of like heartwarming to see everyone who's been there since the beginning just be constantly astounded and looking around and being like, I can't believe this is actually happening right now. Where the rest of the world is like, yeah, Barstool Sports is fucking massive.
Well, yeah, it like, that is interesting because I never view it that way, obviously, because I remember the days when like Dave was sending me paychecks. Like, I remember when it was all just put together by Scotch tape and we were just praying that everyone still got paid at the end of the 2 weeks. So I think that's also part of the appeal where people who have been fans of Barstool for so long, they get the payoff as well. Like, they are like, oh, I remember following this website when it was Fore when it was Dave, Dan, Kevin, Keith, when they were just blogging and they were kind of this upstart media brand that wasn't a media brand at that point. It was just a blog. And those people who followed then are now still, 20 years later, they probably got kids, they got a wife, they got a house, but they're still following this website. But that website that they saw begin is now hosting its own college football bowl. It's cool to, as an employee, see it 100%. And it's cool as an employee who's been here a long time to see it pay off. But I bet it's very similar for the fans who've been following Barstool for so long to see it pay off and be like, oh, there's this bowl that's going on that they're watching with their family. And they're like, their family's like, oh, the Barstool Arizona Bowl. What is that? And this guy who's sitting in the corner being like, I've been following this website for 20 years and now they have their own bowl game.
Dude, and it's cool to see the people that are actually doing it. Like All Business Pete was literally like trying to get a fucking green screen up so we could do highlights without rights for like years. And now he's the main producer of a fucking broadcast for a bowl game. Like Jake Marsh is calling Frankie Borelli's ping pong matches for the last several years in the Barstool office. And now he's literally running play-by-play for a bowl game. So seeing that it's pretty much the same people, it's not like we brought in Jim Nance to do like, it's like just our people are just, instead of, filming a video of us doing fucking blizzard golf at 3 a.m., it's like, and getting that video out, it's like, no, now that company and the same people are just putting on a broadcast for a college bowl game that, like you said, means so much that all the Wyoming people drove 12, 13, 14 hours down, bus loads of them, thousands of fans, these kids. It's like their highlight of their entire like sporting and football career is being played out with real refs on a real broadcast, but it's like us doing it. That's fucking nuts. That's nuts.
It is.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And it went really well. And like we said, we got a great game, which is a big part of it. That was awesome.
Yeah, that was really, really cool. So that was a cool experience. Congrats to Alex Bush, his fucking alumni, Ohio. He's an alumnus.
Can I tell you? So Riggs sent a picture into the group chat. He was at the game, obviously, and he sent a picture being like, "Oh, I took a picture with the water boy from Ohio," and it did not click in my brain for hours that Alex Bush went to Ohio and was at the game. I looked at that text. I got it. I looked at it. I was like, oh, that guy looks just like Alex Bush. That's crazy. Like, that's why Riggs sent that picture in. And like 5 hours later, I went back and looked at it and I was like, that is Alex Bush. That's fucking him. I didn't know he went to Ohio.
Trent,
also,
I come out of the tunnel.
It's crazy.
Well, I come out of the tunnel and like I'm seeing the stadium for the first time. And right on the sideline during warmups, there's a crew of Ohio people decked out with like credentials on. And fucking one of them turns around and looks just like Alex Bush and is like, Riggs, what's up? Welcome to the game. And I'm like, Spider-Man gif. I'm like, what? And he's just fucking looked like he was on the team. Like he was part of the fucking staff on the team, full Ohio. And he's like, yeah, I went to Ohio. And I'm like, I knew that, but like, you're just here right now and you're on the sideline. He was with other Ohio people wearing Ohio shit. It was great. It was fucking great to see.
I was pretty sure in my head that he went to Miami of Ohio, and I had no.
Ooh, no.
I'm sorry. Is that disrespectful?
Yeah, very, very disrespectful.
Wow. I mean,
and then you were in the corner for the the walk-off TD, Bush.
Yeah, my dad's actually on the board for Ohio because he went there for the athletics, so they brought us down and we sat. Yeah, it was pretty sick. We sat in like the box during the game, and then kind of went down to the sidelines and. We're right in the corner of the end zone where they threw the touchdown.
How excited were you when Ohio got named to the Barstool Arizona Bowl?
I mean, it was unreal. It's like the first Arizona Bowl, I guess, technically. My school goes in. It was pretty cool, so kind of had to go.
Yeah, that was definitely
surreal, man.
I never seen you with your hair looking so nice.
Yeah,
I cut my hair and I didn't wear a hat. It was unreal.
I'll also say,
me off is I'm used to seeing you in the office with about 6 cents in your mouth, just fucking cranking with the headphones on, like looking like you haven't slept in 3 days. Then I see this guy smiling with his hair done. I'm like, who the hell is this guy?
Well, here's the truth. Now that we're getting to it, normally you look like a piece of shit.
Yeah,
you normally look horrible. Yeah.
100%.
Exactly what Dan said. I go to the office. You're wearing a backwards hat and you're in a hoodie. We've overworked you. You've been working for 48 hours straight. We won't give you a lunch break. We won't let you sleep. We won't let you do anything. So I see and I'm like, yeah, that's Alex. There's that pile of garbage. And then I get this picture gets sent to me and I go, that's a pretty good looking, attractive young man who also has Alex Bush features. And come to find out, when you get a good night's sleep and some nutrients in your body, you actually can pull yourself together and look like a presentable human being.
Yeah, and that's at the tail end of them putting out just the most outrageous amount of videos of all time. I mean, when I saw him there, I'm like, I was even alive. When you think about the things that these guys put out, I know that I talked about this a couple months ago where I was like, I don't think any other brand is putting out as many crazy videos as we are because like, whatever, I think we're putting out like 2 a week and they're huge. Like these videos are so long. When you look at like the average time on these videos that these guys have to edit, I mean, they're 50 to an hour and a half long and they're putting out 2 a week now in December. That takes so much time to edit. We're talking 1.5 to 2 weeks each video to edit. So you got 3 or 4 guys cranking out all these at the same time. We needed to get them out before December 31st, and they did it. Like, they fucking did it. They got out the first episode of Big Cedar. We needed to like get out there in 2022, and they somehow fucking did it. And the video was phenomenal. Now we have the next one coming out.
They hired someone else. They brought someone else to help them, and the guy was like, "This is fucking crazy. I can't do this." So he left.
Yeah, he just left.
Well, think about. All right, so Breaking 90 is probably our most stripped down video series in terms of what goes into it.
It's got no graphics.
No graphics, really. It's me and Frankie. We don't wear mics. We got 2 cameras. It used to be 1 camera, and like it's as stripped down as it can be. That thing takes, I'm probably going to get it wrong. Anybody can interject if you know the real answer. It takes like 4 days to edit that thing.
Yeah.
Which is, there's nothing really to it. It's like I said. And then you've got these travel series where drones, mic tracks,
4 golfers,
all these cameras. So then you think, like, how long is that going to take? Probably, like Frankie said, like a week and a half. So these guys, we shit on them and whatever. But they did an insane amount of work to get those videos out, to do it. And then we're not going to stop. It's just going to keep going.
Yeah, I mean, our scheduling will definitely be better. I know we got a lot of feedback. Like, things have to come out quicker. I think that this year we just had so much travel. We went to fucking Scotland in the midst of having a bunch of travel series already filmed. So like a little peek behind the curtain, that kind of set us back. We had travel series all ready to go. And then all of a sudden we had Breaking 90s all ready to go. And then all of a sudden, ready to go, meaning like we filmed them, but they're sitting on hard drives. And these guys would have to sit home and they'd have to edit each video for a week and sit there and get it out and do all the thumbnails and all that shit. And then all of a sudden we go to Scotland right in the midst of all of this. Then we come back. And then like I'm sending people for like fixing Frankie. We're going all that. So we just had a bunch of things. Then we did a bunch. Out of nowhere, we did the 2 scrambles in the midst of them editing all of them. So those were huge videos to edit. So we just got backtracked. We had a lot of things on hard drives. These guys cranked it out during the winter. Incredible. I cannot thank them enough. That's an amazing job by our editing team to be able to get it out.
A big, just like a little shout out to our fans, because it's no, it's no secret that we're in a recession. It's no secret that people are spending less money on merchandise, on vacations, on everything. Advertisers, first thing to really company cuts in a recession, advertising. Foreplay, we have certain goals that we're supposed to hit each year that we would like to hit, targets, whatever. And those are obviously based on growth. We're trying to grow year over year. We hit all of our goals. We hit all of our merchandise goals. That wasn't true all across the board, all across Barstool. It's hard to get people to buy stuff right now. We hit our advertising goals. We hit our views goals. We hit our Barstool Classic goals. We nailed everything. And so for us to have that big of a year in 2022, when people are hurting, when companies are hurting, when it's just not fucking easy to make it and get everything done, is really just a massive shout out to our fans, our listeners, our followers, our viewers, people that buy merchandise. It's pretty surreal when we come here and we do the show and we try to make our videos. And we got Alex Bush and Brendan Jones and Kyle and Jake Bass are grinding day after day. We got our social guys. We got us trying to run all around the country. We got the classic team all over the place that work really hard. And then for it all to come together and us to have yet another really successful year in 2022 is very motivating, I would say. I feel like this obligation to be like, we got to keep it fucking going. We got to try to continue to deliver good stuff. If people are going to listen and buy the merch, we need to make it to where when they walk around wearing Barstool Golf and Foreplay stuff, that they're proud of it because we do good shit. So it's very kind of, I would say, aspirational to be like, holy fuck, people supported us throughout this whole year when that's not easy. We got to keep going. We got to keep going. We got to keep going. So yeah, just a big thanks to everybody that listens because we had a good year again, and that's not easy to do. So we appreciate it.
It's stressful going through the year because you're like, I feel like we're doing so many things. We have so many pieces of merchandise out there. Isn't there a finite amount of people that will consume our stuff or purchase our stuff or still be a fan? Then it keeps growing. It's fucking insane. It's a testament to Barstool of staying cool, quote unquote, for however long this podcast has gone on. And then for however long Barstool's been going on for 20 years now. It's nuts that people still keep coming back. When you think about your favorite show, your favorite TV show, what's the average like lifespan of a fucking ridiculously Hall of Fame worthy TV show? 5 seasons, maybe 4 seasons.
5.
I mean,
5 is like the sweet spot.
Game of Thrones was what? 6 seasons, 5 seasons,
5, I think.
I mean,
no.
I think the last one was 6, right?
Now that's obviously a really bad example because there's all these budgets and all this stuff, and like there's just
I don't know.
not
I think
enough
the
money.
editing is probably similar.
Well, no, but I'm just saying, like they've figured out that like that's people's attention spans with characters. That's like how long that you can fall in love with something without getting bored of it, or you know what I mean, like, or you find something new to like latch on to when you have your free time and you're listening to a podcast on your way to work or whatever. It's amazing that we just at Barstool you just keep going. It's kind of like ruining that idea of the traditional 5-year, 6-year window where it's like you have to make it now or else you're not going to make it. Barstool kind of just says like, oh, if we have a down year, we're just going to be back next year. It's just like it's its own thing. It's almost like Tiger, where he writes his own history books. You can't say this happened 20 years ago, so this is going to happen to you. Barstool does its own thing.
It is interesting that what seems to be the through line is with all of this is you get people who weren't like professionally trained to do it in a weird way.
Yeah.
Like you just throw people at something. Like Dave didn't know that he was going to build this media empire, and All Business Pete didn't know that he was eventually going to be running a college football bowl broadcast. Like we didn't know that we were going to be doing a podcast, running a tournament, selling merch, doing YouTube series. Like you almost get people who are stunned that they're there, and they are so excited to be there, and they're so excited that people are attaching themselves to it, that it keeps you motivated. I don't know if that makes sense, but it feels like that's the through
because
line.
It's like what we talked about All Business Pete. Like it's a testament to Dave that he just allows people. I mean, he gave me a camera. I lied in my interview with him. I'm like, yeah, I know how to film. And then like the next day, I'm like learning with Gaz, like how to literally hit the record button. And then I'm sitting with Millmore, like literally learning how to edit for the week. And then we have a radio show. I'll always remember this. Dave just goes, yeah, we have a Sirius XM radio channel. It was on Rush 93, the combat sports channel. This was our first trial. It was like a 12 o'clock to 2 o'clock show. We're on some fucking MMA channel on Sirius XM. And the first day, me and All Business Pete sat there. We had all this new equipment in. And he looked at me and he goes, are you ready to produce a Sirius XM radio show right now? And I was like, bro, I don't know. I was looking on Google, like how to go to commercials. Like we had no idea. He's like,
how to go to commercials.
Pete's like, I think we like hit this button. And then like, it just, I literally think we're off the air for 2 minutes. And then we have to look at this clock. And then I think we come back. I remember that first hit where we hit the button and then we all looked around. We're like, are we in commercial right now? Like that is the most unprofessional fucking radio show of all time. And it worked. It
really
worked.
Does go back to Dave's willingness to just let people do what they can and let it see where it goes. Like when I was 24 when I applied to Barstool. If I had applied to ESPN when I was 24, I had not graduated from college. I had no experience in media. I had no experience in doing anything of that sort, except that I had started a blog and I sent it to Dave. And my interview process was, what's your name? Where are you from? All right, we'll build you a website. We'll get you started blogging. If I had done that at ESPN, they'd have fucking been like, get out of here. You don't have anything that shows what we think is going to end up being a successful media person. And with Dave, I was just like, these are my blogs. And he was like, I think they're funny. He's like, we'll let you build the website, or we'll build you the website and we'll go from there. That is the difference. And for whatever reason, that ends up being super successful in every single situation. Like Frankie's saying with him in the radio show, Dave has done that with everybody. You're in the door. Now you do what you can. And we'll see what happens.
I still remember as a reader when it was announced we're launching today, Barstool, Iowa. And I remember just being like, Iowa? What?
He's like, why are we doing that?
Why the fuck are they launching Barstool, Iowa?
Dude.
And God, what was that, like 2012 or 13, Trent?
It was the end of 2013. So like, Jesus, yeah, right at the beginning of 2013.
Insane, dude.
That was back when he would do the press conferences from Milton, and he would have the water thing
jug
flipped upside down, and he'd come out, he'd play the music, and like this is again, and Dan made a great point earlier, as he's a bit of an outsider because he's new, but like that's why we get so fucking excited about Barstool Arizona Bowl, because we've just, and all of us to varying degrees of how long we've been here, we see it and we know what it is, and we know that if enough people get exposed to it, the fan base will grow. And because I was a fan, Riggs was a fan, Frankie was a fan, Dan, I know you were a fan. Like I was just a fan of this shit. I read Dave every day. I read KFC every day. I read Big Cat every day. Like it's weird to talk about that stuff now because we're so in it and we've been here for so long. But we are proof that if you just expose enough people to it, I was just a dude in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. who just liked that these guys were funny on the internet. Expose people to that and they will join.
Right. Yeah, it's stunning. It really is. And that's just the proof in the pudding right there. That's why it works. That's just, it's been the same recipe since 2002, whenever Dave fucking launched this thing. So it's an amazing, amazing place to work. And I think 2023 is going to be huge. I mean, we have huge plans again for Foreplay.
We got big
We
plans.
go into each year with like kind of like these aspirations. And then at the end of the year, we kind of hit them and like we do the next thing the next year. This year, I mean, we have new series coming out. We've got a better schedule coming out. We have more travel series coming out. It's going to be a lot of fun and huge, huge collaborations. And it's going to be fucking an amazing, amazing year.
Frankie, I don't think we've been able to discuss fixing Frankie yet, but what a phenomenal premiere. I don't know that I've ever seen that unanimously positive feedback from anything we've ever done in our history.
Yeah, it was pretty overwhelming feedback. I mean, you know, the premiere didn't go as well as I would have liked for it to go. I think we released it at a weird time. It was like the day before Christmas Eve, like at 7:00 at night. A lot of travel. Southwest was falling, and it was just a strange like Thursday Night Football was on, falling, and it was just a strange thing. But the more I like, you know, now that we've like gotten to 100,000 views, I'm like, whatever, as long as we get to that number, I'm fine. At the end of the day, I realized that video is not made for the streamlined YouTube group. Like it's not, YouTube has now gotten to this place where you make content to try and get clicks and you don't like make content that like you actually want to enjoy. If you look at all these other brands, it's just like, how many beers can we drink while we play 9 holes? And then like it's all these vibrant colors and it's like all this crazy stuff. And that works. That's a business model. That's getting clicks. That's doing your job. That's getting advertising. But there's a difference sometimes between making like legit content and like videos. And that's what like fixing Frankie to me was something that I think if you're like a legitimate golfer, you're going to sit there and you're going to watch it and you might enjoy it. And I think a lot of people did enjoy it. It's not something that's going to hit that streamline. 9-year-old kid's going to click on it because he thinks it's cool and it's like fun YouTube shit. And YouTube's going to push it out to everyone. It's a very niche video if you think about it. So,
but I think niche is good because I think not every view is the same. Right, like not
that was my point. Yes,
where it's like some people, you know, you make a video and it might have 5 million views, but if they watch it for 10 seconds and then it's like it counts as a view, but they don't have any sort of personal attachment to the brand or to the characters in it. Like you had 100,000 people who were watching you, and they're watching it for you and your mental process, and that was something that I had to get used to at my old job. Was like you'd write these great articles and then you'd look at the top 10 articles of the week and they're like, oh, Paulina Gretzky, you know, skirt, like whatever. It's the stuff that reaches the most amount of people doesn't necessarily make the most impact.
Nothing wrong with those blogs, by the way. Nothing wrong with those.
No, nothing wrong with those.
No, but that's a great example.
Turn around and you want to sell things to people, or you want to build an event or build a community. Those empty views don't hit the same.
Yeah, we see it all the time when like Hubs will send out the like blogger numbers at the end of the week. Like there's people that just completely just go 100 miles an hour on the biggest viral things and they just get 1,000 blogs up and their numbers are huge.
Tits and ass are undefeated.
But then you have some of these guys like a Jerry Thornton that'll like write a whole thing on the Patriots. And it's very niche, but like those views and those numbers mean a little bit more than like just saying, look at this girl that walked out of this club wearing basically nothing. You know what I mean? Like
for sure.
Just there's a different meaning to it. So I'm very happy with the response. I mean, Dr. Brett McCabe was like, he's sending us messages being like, bro, because I mean, he's been doing this his whole life. The guy's very successful. He's fucking John Rahm's guy. He's Billy Horschel's guy.
He's going to Maui. He messaged me. He was like, hey,
he's right next door.
Yeah, he's there. Right. He was like, you want to meet up? I was like, I'm going to be gone.
He's an extremely successful guy, but all of a sudden he's seeing these numbers. He's like, bro, 100,000 people watched us do this fucking thing. Are you kidding me? He's like, we can change the world. He thinks we can change the world. Like one mental process.
He is
at a
also
time.
just the best. That guy is a 10 out of 10.
He's amazing, and next episode should send shockwaves through people's brains with this guy Scott Fawcett. He's already texting me asking when it's coming out so that he can. I like didn't get back to him. He texted me on like Christmas, like when is this thing coming out so I can like upload my system.
I think I have him blocked.
Yeah, it's just, but you know, and I'm not talking shit about it. Scott Fawcett is a lunatic on Twitter. And I say this to his face. I'm like, you know, you're definitely different in person than you are on social media. He's definitely different. The guy likes to stir it up. He likes to create chaos.
But what people also have to realize is under all of that, you've got countless PGA Tour pros using his system, regardless of how he acts on Twitter and how he does it. Like we'll just be like offhandedly talking to a PGA Tour pro on the range, and they'll be like, "Oh yeah, I have people send me his data all the time because I want to use it." Like he is a brash and bombastic personality on Twitter, but what he's preaching is legitimate.
And I have given him credit the whole year. If you watched our videos, I definitely have gotten significantly better this summer. I just slowed things down. I had a better process. Dr. Brett McCabe, the whole thing. I learned how to chip. But there's something, and he's not a technical coach. He's actually not even allowed to be a technical coach because he still plays in like tournaments. There's like something that he's like not even allowed to like really instruct. Right? There's like weird rules where like you can't be an instructor if you're still like playing.
I could see him being banned from some stuff.
Right.
Sure.
He's like whatever. But there was a time where he helped me with my alignment, which is what he does. He like, it's all about aligning where your shots should go as opposed to where it's all targets. And there was one thing at the range at Colonial that something just clicked. And ever since then, everything's just been smoother. Everything's been better. And I paired that with Dr. Brett McCabe and it worked. So if you haven't checked it out yet, episode 1's out there. Breaking 90 came out. That was incredible. Trent made a birdie. The birdie heard around the world. It was a tough. I mean, what would you say, Trent? You got that huge hype video to start your day, and then you went out and made an 8. Ridiculous pin placement, obviously, just a fucked green. A mentally fucked green, but what do you think?
People were mad at the golf course.
Yeah, that I did get that response a lot, which they should be mad at me. They get mad at a lot of things. They get mad at the golf course.
I shot an 80 that day, so it's not an impossible golf course. People were getting mad at me for bringing him to a golf course. First of all, we played from the Reds. I mean, we played like 4,900 yards, and then
all right. Well, now we're going too far the other way.
Okay, I'm just saying that we definitely did, and everyone's getting angry at us saying it's an impossible golf course. Like some of the greens were fucking insane. That's all.
The greens were hard.
The greens were really, really hard.
Yeah, it is interesting. Like people get mad at the golf course, they get mad at Frankie when I'm the guy out there shooting like 100. So everybody just chill out a little bit.
Online.
The hype video was great. I just wish I had played better. The birdie was. You can't really script a moment like that. It truly was. I was lined up for a birdie putt and JT just pulled up because he was doing a lesson earlier in the day, and he's like, "I'll meet you out there at some point." And the first time he met up with us was when I had the birdie putt. Drilled that. Great celebration. Frankie's shoe came off. I wish I had played better. Clearly, I did not break 90, so there's going to be more episodes. But I appreciate everybody who watched. There's still people who watch, and they still get super mad. But
I got a lot of hate for like hyping it up, and like they're like, "Why would you even show us that hype video from like Justin Thomas and Colin Morikawa? Like, why did you even put that in there? You got us all so excited. Like these people were like, I changed my plans. This was like how the fuck is this not the episode?" And I responded to some people in DMs being like, "We just showed you exactly the way it happened in real time. I got the video, showed it to Trent, then we attempted to break 90. So that all is portrayed in a video. I'm sorry that he didn't end up doing it, but that is the way it happened. That's the way breaking 90 works. It's just the day that we filmed. We just put out exactly what happened that day. Just because of the result ended up not the way we wanted. I wasn't going to curate like, oh, this is a sad boy episode today. Trent shot 100. No, like through the first 9 holes, we thought he was going to do it. Like that's just how it happened. So we got excited.
Imagine the response if we shelved it and we said we saved that hype video for when I actually did it. People would be like, "Well, that's disingenuous."
We just do the stuff that we do and then we film it and we put it out. Like that's just the way that day worked. I don't understand what that meant. Like those complaints were insane.
It's also people get worked up. People get real worked up. More worked up than I thought they ever would about something like this. And it's a weird situation for me because I love that people are super into it. That's like what you do it for. You do it because you want people to watch your videos. You want people to be invested. You want them to be on the ride with you during this journey for whatever you're doing. In my case, it's trying to break 90. I have that side of me. And then there's another side of me where it's like, it's an entertainment product. Like Frankie's hyping me up. We're like, that's actually how we are. But like, we're also like, we're out there trying to do this thing because we know it's going to be a video and we want people to like it and be invested in it. And like, it's all real. But it is also an entertainment product. Like it's actually been a hard thing for me to juggle where like, I know I definitely want to break 90. I want that to happen and I want people to watch it and enjoy it. But sometimes people get so fucking mad at me or at Frankie that sometimes I want to shake him and be like, I appreciate you wanting me to do this, but I also want you to just enjoy the video and like once it's over, just then go back to
the entertainment system. It's like it's more of like an accomplishment video now. Now they're only watching it to see the accomplishment. Now I think we've like jumped. For better or worse, that's just what it is now. You know what I mean?
Like when I get like entertainment is that you really want to do it. That's like part of what's entertaining. It's not that you're just out there fucking around drinking beers like some of the other views that we talked about, which is great on its own. This is like you genuinely, really, really want to do the thing you're trying to do.
True. It's not exactly the way that I'm saying it, I suppose. It has gotten to a point where it's an accomplishment video. Although I really wanted to, like, I'll get responses. Like I tweeted a little bit about, somebody said, get Frankie out and put somebody else in there, which is insane. And I quote tweeted it essentially saying like, it's going to be me and him until I do it, which is also essentially saying that I didn't do it in that video. And I had like 2 people respond being like, oh, I guess I won't watch it now because you didn't do it. When I want people to like, people who watch their TV shows, I get that this is an accomplishment based video series, but like if I like a TV show, I just watch it regardless of necessarily the accomplishments that happen in that TV show.
It's like it's like the Love Island episodes that don't include a recoupling. I mean, look, it's not going to be anything groundbreaking. I'm still going to watch the fuck out of it.
That's where I get a little bit confused on it, but those people are just watching it for the accomplishment, which is
everyone's
fine.
Getting mad. Like, so a couple tweets being like, like Frankie's making it harder on him. And he's so neurotic and crazy. It's like, well, like that's just the way this whole series has been. And also if we don't do it, we're just going to do it the next time. That's just how the series goes. Like we're attempting to break 90 every single time that we put out that video. If he does break 90, the series is over. So I don't understand why people get so shocked when he doesn't do it. Like it would be a once in a lifetime accomplishment to accomplish this. We've already tried 12 times. Like, it's also, why are you so surprised? I don't understand.
I mean, that video's got 270,000 views already in like 5 days. I don't think 270,000 people are mad about anything.
I know. I get
a few people, and I think it's fine.
I just got to breathe.
Well, I get lost in Trent. I think Trent's getting lost in the sauce because Trent is now not trying to break it for himself. He's trying to just like level the waters of the people that are getting angry online. He's just like I feel like you genuinely just want to be like, fuck you, I did it, as opposed to like, I'm now a better golfer and I broke 90. Like we need to just completely change. We got to go Brett McCabe on it and change like what our expectations are. It shouldn't be trying to like your expectations for this series should not be to shut the people up. It should just be to be better at golf.
Frank,
there's a huge difference.
Trent, you're Tiger 2010 when he said to Hank Haney, I'm not playing golf anymore for the fans. I'm not playing for my mom. I'm not playing for my sponsors. I'm playing for myself. That needs to be Trent Ryan 2023.
All right. That's what it's going to be. I agree. That's going to be my 2023 resolution, to play golf for myself and for nobody else.
Like when you're out there practicing and you're going to play 9 holes and you're going to see if you can get better that day. It should just be like, how do I get better today? Not, we have to film this and then I'm going to try and shoot an 89 just so that the thumbnail can have us celebrating. Like, I feel like we've lost like what it actually is. You know what I mean? We're turning into like, how do we make this into a video that people will stop fucking tweeting at us about breaking 90? Instead, we have to make it a video where it's like, how do we break 90? You know what I mean? It's a complete difference. And I'd say the last 2 or 3 episodes we got away from it. Maybe it's my fault. Maybe it's your fault. Maybe it's both of our faults that we're just like, we're getting caught in this wave. And no, I think we're going to be fine.
I think I need to like, because the weather here is getting cold. Like, I think I need to move somewhere for like a month and just
not a bad idea. You need to practice. This is what I was going to say is like, you need to practice, dude. It's going to be so hard. Hitting balls indoors is nice, but it's just not the same as playing. Like you need to be playing and practicing and then going on the course and testing those feels out.
I think I need to move somewhere.
Tillery's point, he says like, I can't just like fix this guy in one day every 6 months.
Yeah.
So maybe you do go down there. I mean, you'll get significantly better if you spent a week with John Tillery. You just will. By that 5th day, you'll be shooting an 86. Like that's
right. We've been texting. He wants me to come down there.
Golf like every day. Spend a month where you actually play. You like hit balls in the morning. I mean, it's our job. We don't really have like an excuse. You hit balls in the morning and then you play 9 holes in the afternoon. You do that like 3 or 4 times a week. You'll get better a lot quicker.
No, Tillery wants me to come down there. I think I might, with this month or next month, go down there for a week and not not take a camera crew. I'll have my phone and we'll document it that way, like on social, but maybe not do a full on video because he wants to like get into the nitty gritty of it as opposed to just like, let's do it for 2 days and then you go out and play these tough greens.
Right. And it's like, if he wants to,
maybe I'll go down there for,
if he wants to do some swing changer, it's not going to be like visually like fun to watch, but like you just need to get your fucking right arm down and you need to do a million drills. Like you need to do that where you're not feeling pressure because I'm only down here for a day and I need to make the video compelling.
The whole series has turned into like a race against the clock where it's like, can we fucking break 90 today while we're filming this? And can Trent get better today with John Tillery just because we have the film crew down here for one day? Like that's not going to get better. And you are getting better. You shot 145 and breaking 100. What is that, like 24 episodes ago? So, I mean, yeah, we play a lot of golf. You have a ton of fucking access to all this shit. I got a lot of tweets where I wrote like, in fixing Frankie, on one of the things that I talked about was like, it's embarrassing to be a 10 handicap with all this access. And everyone's like, well, like you have a series where Trent's trying to break 90 every single time. We just can't do it. But I think the difference there is I said that the only reason I was a 10 handicap is because of one thing in my brain. That's where it was like insane that I couldn't ever come over just the chipping yips like for 4 or 5 years. So, and the only thing that really helped me was I actually attacked it. So that's what you have to do. You have to go attack it with John Tiller. You have to sit there and you have to fucking let him do his job. He can't do his job in one day.
Big time cheap shot at me in the trailer for fixing Frankie, which
that's why I was starting to joke. I was laughing.
I'm gonna let that one go a little bit. That's fine.
It's a comedy brand, and we were. I asked Brendan, I said, do you have any shots for me for these words? Like I was saying words and I needed visuals. And then I mean, to my credit, I was like, why don't we put a video of Riggs' swing from the
remember
other day?
that tee shot very, very vividly too.
I did two of them. I got two choices.
The first hole.
I had two options. You literally went back to back into the same. I was like, let's take the second one. The second one was more mad.
So go check that out on YouTube. And then we got more stuff coming out this week. We've got a round of golf with Callum Tarrant and Sam Ryder.
And Brock Nelson.
Well,
we just talked about how hard it is to get all these videos out. And one of the videos, and we'll just say it, one of the videos on our hard drive was just us at the 3M. We went to the 3M. We got great content there. We did a bunch of social stuff. This was in July. We did a bunch of social stuff. Is that before we went to Scotland?
Might have been right after. Was it before? I can't remember.
Well, whatever. Scotland was right around the 3M. So whether it was before or after, our guys came back and they had to hit the ground running. And this video that we did at 3M kind of just sat on a hard drive with all of the other work they had to do. And now that they're all done, they're like, why don't we just put that video out? Why sit on it and why just eat it? Like, I know people are going to get mad. Like, wow, the 3M was 9 months ago. It's like, well, no, just watch it. Just watch the video. It's the same thing as if we put it out in July. We're going to get tweets. We're going to get fucking comments about like that we're slow editors. No, it's a great video. It's a fucking fantastic video. There was one camera there. It's old school Barstool of us just playing with pros. We're not supposed to be there. And we actually almost won the thing. We almost won the 3M. Do you guys remember that?
Yeah.
I do, yeah.
It's a great,
we made a charge at the end.
It's going to be a great video. There's a great charge at the end. So go check that out. It's coming out. And then we got Big Cedar Lodge is rolling along. If you did realize, we wanted to get some videos out before the end of the year because of those numbers I talked about earlier. We're a business. We're trying to get our numbers hit before the end of the year like everybody else that's in sales or finance or whatever. So now the Big Cedar Lodge thing's rolling on. So anyways, go to our YouTube page. Watch our
Lurch is back.
Great.
Yeah.
Yep. He makes his return in the Big Cedar video, and Big Cedar's awesome. We talked about that a lot, so make sure you check all that out.
I tried to get him on the podcast today. He's at the doctor. I'm like, what are you? He's like, I'm at the doctor. I'm like, what are you talking about? Come on and talk paddle sports with me. That's what I wanted to talk fucking pickleball. He's like, as I would, and then of course in classic Lurch, he like the way he texts back. He's like, as I would love to do that. Unfortunately, I'm at the doctor. And then he did like a bunch of spaces. Just wrote, great game. Love that. It's just like.
He is really one of a kind
fucking pickleball.
One of the worst communicators via text I've ever seen in my
He's
history.
really something. Him like Lurch trying to become a professional pickleball player is a series that I would watch. He fucking loves pickleball.
He's so good at it too, I'm sure. Because if I see
the perfect sport for guys with great hand-eye who are a little overweight. Because you don't really have to run that much.
He's huge. He's got crazy wingspan.
Wingspan. All right. We are about 90 minutes in. Let's talk a little golf. We got the Sentry.
Before we get to that real quick, can we just talk about record? Can we just talk about record players for a second? I put this on my Instagram story.
I saw that.
I got a ton of traction. there's a lot of things that blow my mind. The fact that we're on this fucking Zoom right now, just talking, and we're all in different rooms, different parts of the country. I mean, Dan's in Hawaii, you're in Arizona. I don't understand how this works, but I can kind of understand it. It's digital. I think I've lived in that world enough to kind of understand it. Maybe. When I got this record player for Christmas,
you don't understand shit about. What are you talking about?
We like. I know, but we can like.
You here. Let me tell you why you understand. Because I know where you're going with the record player thing. Because I saw your post. You think you understand digital because you don't see it. You don't know what it is.
I understand it's like numbers and coding and like it's all of that stuff. I understand. I can understand a little bit of what digital
ones and zeros.
It is ones and zeros. I mean, that is what it is. We're laughing, but that's what it is. And there's systems that like have built all these numbers to be able to put out pixels and all of these visuals that we're seeing. Right? I get that. I understand. Maybe a little bit. When I saw this record player, and I really looked at it. It's a fucking needle on a disc, and then it just goes around in a circle, and then voices come out of it. Now, I don't care what explanation you have for me. I don't care if you say, oh, when they're fucking laying the record, the ridges go in. They build all these ridges, so it's vibrations and ridges. What does that even mean? Look at a record, dude. Stare at it and be like, how could they figure out the difference between John Lennon's voice and Paul McCartney's voice when they're singing at the same time in harmony? And then like the drums are in the background. What do you mean the vibrations?
I'm actually with you on this one. I know I was making fun of you, but I have a record player. I bought one because I thought it was a cool thing to have, and I bought a bunch of records. And I don't understand how it works. I really don't. I don't know. Like I don't know.
I wrote like disc, needle, John Lennon. What do you mean?
It seems like it's the thing that would come after the things we have now.
100%. I was going to say, it feels like it was created way too early.
It's a physical form of music. It's a physical form of playing noise. Physical. It's like screeching your nails on a chalkboard, that noise, but then like they figured out how to have John Lennon's voice come out of it.
There are people who claim there's record hardos who say that it sounds better than the digital.
But like, how did they figure out that it all? So it got saved into the ridges. The music got saved into the ridges on his disc. That's what you're telling me. The difference between like the drums hitting, and then how is it all in the same ridge, right? Like, how is the same vibration ridge a drum beat, John Lennon's voice, Paul McCartney's voice, and the bass line and all that? How is that all in the same little ridge on? You know what I'm saying? How is that all in the same little dimple? How?
Doesn't it make you think that our understanding of communications with alien intelligence is just never going to happen? Because we're like, yeah, if you put this record on this thing with a needle and it plays the ridge, it's going to play the music. And then their communication style, a billion light years away, is like, no, if you heat this rock to 350, then the voices are going to come out. Like it just makes it seem like communication is going to be impossible, because who would think that if we were aliens and we went to a different planet and they were like, why don't you put this black disc on this needle and voices are going to come out? It's like, what are you talking about? None of it makes any sense.
I actually watched cross-legged.
Arrival. Have you ever seen the movie Arrival?
Dude, I watched that.
Yeah.
Danny Rapp recommended it to me that I watched it a couple months ago. It's very similar.
Yeah. I thought shitty ending, but I thought the whole rest of the movie was fantastic. And it talks exactly about what you're talking about, where they get into the nitty gritty on language and signs.
Wrap your head around it. Yeah.
Yeah, man. I sat like cross-legged looking at this thing. I felt like I was on like peyote or something like that. And I couldn't believe what I was seeing. And Alex Bush just sent like the most non-answer of all answers.
That was a Jake Bass move.
A stylus touches the top of the record and rides around the disc. It picks up vibrations that are sent to a cartridge, and then that converts them into electrical signals. These signals are amplified, which makes the music. I mean, where it touches. See, like, I understand. When I said I understand how music is played digitally, it's all saved into different tracks. Right, so the bass is saved into one, and then the guitar is saved into another, the music saved to another, and then they kind of piece them all together. When I saw the disc and it all goes around one ridge, I couldn't understand how the vibrations are separated. I couldn't get it.
This is gonna sound stupid, but the technical definition almost doesn't do it.
Right.
Like the technical definition that Alex Bush just sent us, like the needle hits the record and the electrons get sent to this and that. Like, but how?
How did they figure this out? In what, like the 1800s? Like when were records started?
Like records probably in the 1900s. Yeah,
okay.
Like in the
definitely around in like the 20s, 30s.
Yeah,
like war era.
Because I'm picturing like the big one, like it almost looks like a tuba. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No,
stunning.
I'm with you, and it's you're not going to get an answer because like I'm saying, the answer that we just read off is not necessarily the answer that I'm looking for.
No,
it's
I
just
was like
how
screaming in agonizing pain looking at it, and all this stuff always fucks me up. But yeah, we
play
can
record today. I love having record player. It's nice, man.
It's a great fucking thing. When
I saw
fun.
Frankie's, I think I'm gonna get one. Dude, that's a good idea.
It's a good little,
you buy.
It's like
they've got all of your
too.
favorite. They've got all your favorite albums that you've ever loved, like new ones on record. Like I've got Beatles and I've got Jimi Hendrix, but I've also got new rap albums that they put out.
I enjoy the artwork inside the records also. Like you open these things up, and I got the Foo Fighters one that had a huge picture of Taylor Hawkins, rest in peace, and like Dave Grohl young fucking rocking out to All My Life. Like it was really cool artwork inside. Yeah, look at that. What are you going to open up? Which one's that?
I love Sturgill Simpson, and he's got a Sailor's Guide to Earth. Like this is the front. This is what you would see if you bought the album or if you bought it digitally. Let me open this thing up.
My Beatles one came with a T-shirt.
Huh.
Whoa!
Wow, that's fucking really
cool.
Whoa,
map on the inside
of America. Yeah.
Wow.
Like that's that, really Frankie's cool. Right. It's like a piece of art. It's not, I bought this on iTunes and now I get to listen to this album. It's you buy the album, you play it, and then you look at the artwork on the inside. It's fucking beautiful.
It's an experience for sure. The whole thing. You're physically putting it on there. You're putting the needle down. You hear that boom, like that start, and it's fucking. You go and you realize like where the songs start. The more you do it, it's very cool. Very, very, very cool. And then the last thing I'm going to say before we get into the golf, I watched this movie called The Banshees of Inisherin. I still can't say it. It's a fucking island.
It's on HBO. It's
a must watch.
It's a great director. It's supposed to be like
HBO Max. It's a must watch. Right?
It's the same guy who directed
Colin Farrell
Bruges,
and the dude
which is an awesome movie.
It's the Colin Farrell and the guy that played Mad Moody from Harry Potter, and he is an amazing actor in this movie. It's just two guys on an island off of Ireland. And there's really no reason that this movie had to be made. It's just the most boring concept of all time and a fantastic watch. It is a fantastic
Have you seen
watch.
In Bruges?
No.
So In Bruges, the same two actors, the same director. It's this guy, Martin McDonagh, is kind of this sicko, I think, because the movies that he's made are all kind of. You guys see 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri was the other one that he made recently.
That's a great movie.
Really
I've heard, yeah, because I saw Feidelberg tweeted that this is the best movie of the year. I think it's on HBO, so I'm definitely going to fire it up. Because this guy with those two actors is In Bruges is another movie where it's like, what's going on? Why did they feel like they needed to make this movie? And it's a hitter as well. So this guy sounds like he's
it really hits you in the feels, these types of movies. It just hits you in the feels.
All right. Hawaii, Tournament of Champions. This is kind of a whale watching, type weekend. Makes people up in the Northeast and in the North in Minnesota where it's cold, literally around a lot of the country where it's cold. I feel like for the first time, in a while, start to be like, all right, I can start imagining a world in a couple months here where there's some golf. Obviously, golf's back on TV. It's the Tournament of Champions, so it's not a full field. It's beautiful. It's Hawaii. It doesn't look real. Kapalua. The giant elevation changes, the last couple holes that are just stunning, the whole deal. I looked on the Barstool Sportsbook app. John Rahm's the favorite. He's plus 700. I saw a couple good prop bets on there that I might jump on. A hole-in-one for the whole week is plus 450, which is always kind of a fun one to get on. I saw the winner's performance on the 72nd hole, a birdie, was plus 150. Obviously, we know this hole, the big dog leg or swooper left where they hit it way down the hill and then guys
how many times did they play that hole that one year?
Oh,
it felt like they played it 5 times. Was it Justin Thomas?
Yeah, JT and Reed where like they were hitting it all over the place.
Xander was there too. Yeah,
was he in that one too? Yeah. But anyways, I saw birdies plus 150. So this is just the winner's performance on just the 72nd hole. That's it. Is birdie plus 150, par plus 150, eagle plus 1600. So I was kind of thinking about like jumping on one of those. Might be fun. I might do it just a par, thinking like they're going to come in. They're not going to play it too crazy aggressive. Maybe have a couple stroke lead and you get it at plus 150. And then another one that I saw on there that was really, really interesting to me was it's almost like a horse race. You could pick Tony Finau to finish first and Jon Rahm to finish second is plus 8,000.
God, the chances of that happening, I mean, obviously the odds are what they are, but like, boy, I like the hole-in-one a lot. That one I've got my eye on, I think, because that's just fun because, you know,
but there's
sometimes
nothing
it'll
with
happen.
the limited field. The limited field is a big one there because even the shitty golfers can get a hole-in-one. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to be playing well to hit a hole-in-one, especially if you're a pro. So the fact that there's only 39, that's a big difference.
You just played this golf course, right? What's the hole-in-one potential?
No, we didn't end up playing it because it was across the island, and once you backed out, then my dad was like, I don't know, my ankle's pretty sore. It was carts on paths. My dad doesn't walk very well, so he thought that being a carts on path on that golf course, which is like the biggest golf course in the world, he thought it'd be worse than walking. He didn't think that he could like walk all the way back, so he didn't go. But the par threes are hard. I think there's only three of them. In fact, wait, I'm pretty sure there's only three of them. And that might be very, very germane to the bet because usually there's four on every golf course. But I think there's only three at the Plantation course. So let me do a little recon for you guys. That
would be good information to know. But I still think I'm
going to be good information.
Yeah, same. You know, you're throwing a lot of facts at me. I'm just trying to have a fun bet here with the hole-in-one plus 450.
There could be one. There could almost be none, and I would still probably do it.
It's only par fours and par fives.
There's only three. Yeah. There's only three par threes. After hole 11, you got no par threes for the rest of the round.
I'm doing it.
Perfect. Better.
Yeah, a couple short par fours, right?
I'm picturing because it probably won't happen on TV. Like I'm just picturing it popping up on Twitter. Like, oh my gosh, Jon Rahm made a hole-in-one on. It's like, and then I won a bunch of money.
Dan making all the reasons like why you shouldn't take this bet is making me really, really want to take it badly.
100%.
Go
badly.
Go for it.
Are you going to do the Rahm Finau? That's interesting to me.
I'm going to do the Rahm Finau or Finau Rahm. You can look. There's a bunch of different options. It's like forecast is what it was called on here. There's a bunch of different options of you trying to get it right first and second place. And I think it said T2 as well. So I think Rahm could even tie for tie for second and it would still cash.
There's only 468 chances for a hole-in-one in this whole tournament.
You're making it really obvious for me.
39 players times 3 par threes times 4 rounds.
I want you to know, Dan, that this has now turned into a spite bet.
Oh,
I now want it to happen.
Personal now.
And I'm sure you've, in your computer, you've got them. Like, when was the last time one happened to the Tournament of Champions? Probably was like 2004. I don't care. A hole-in-one is happening at the Tournament of Champions.
This hope it happens in the first par 3 of the first fucking day on Thursday.
The first par 3 is about 220. I mean, you guys are dead, I think. This is a terrible bet.
Drano, baby.
Hole-in-one. I'm putting it right now. Oh, yeah.
This is the fuck Dan Rappaport bet.
Dude, start spending that money because it's already in your account.
Done. Plus 450, hole-in-one, Tournament of Champions, PGA Tour, Barstool Sports book. Let's go.
That's a great bet.
So yeah, it'll be a fun week. It's prime time golf. We get this at the beginning of the year on the East Coast prime time, not as prime time out here, but still a little bit, which is fantastic. You get to kind of lazily watch Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday night, throw something on, boom, you get a little bit of golf. You get a lot of the best players because those are the people who won and they're the ones that are eligible to play. So yeah, fun week, Tournament of Champions. And then the other big golf thing was the Stallings Masters invite tweet that went viral today. Fantastic. The obvious take from everyone is that if you're the fake Scott Stallings, you just have to fucking take the invite and show up. I saw everybody tweeting that, everybody posting that on Instagram. Kind of stunning that Augusta could make this kind of a mix-up, but
really
also
stunning.
I started really thinking about the logistics of it. It's it's great. And I almost like that this mix-up can happen because Augusta clearly doesn't go through kind of lame. Well, they don't go through lame routes or mediums to get the accurate information. They clearly are almost like it's almost like Harry Potter. It's almost like Hogwarts, where they legitimately are like, no. We're going to rely on our system. We're going to figure it out ourselves. We're not going to notify anyone. We don't want it to get through the PGA Tour spokesperson or through their family member that we're poking around looking for the right address. We're just going to send this carrier pigeon to the address that we know is the right one. And occasionally, if it's wrong, that's way more worth it than them just reaching out to people and trying to get the right address.
Who were we talking to that they were like, there's no way they're going to know where I am? Was it Sahith? Where they're like,
I think it might have been.
He's like, I don't even know my address. Like, there's no chance they're going to find me. I agree. They have like an old world style of inviting people. I think it's a good move by this guy to definitely, obviously, let Scott Stallings know that I have your invite, but it's almost like when you catch a home run from like the Aaron Judge ball and you like give it back to him, you have to expect something in return. So I saw a lot of people saying that Stallings has to bring him out. At least you have to get him tickets to the event, or you have to let him like caddy for you in the Wednesday par 3, something like that. Like you have to bring this guy. But had that fallen into the wrong hands, the wrong Scott Stallings hands, like even like a third one where the guy wasn't as nice, Augusta would have had a real problem on their hands.
Yep.
Like a real problem. That guy would have, imagine him showing up with like lawyers being like, I'm playing. You know what I mean? Like lawyers saying, I'm playing in the,
it's
I'm
invite
not just
only,
coming.
and he has an invite.
I'm playing. You invited me. You invited my wife.
It's like,
I'm fucking coming to this thing and I'm teeing off at 11 o'clock on fucking Thursday.
Hey guys, I unwrapped the chocolate bar that had the golden ticket in it, so now I'm coming to Willy Wonka's factory.
What are they going to do?
The Masters, it's not right. It's not a PGA Tour event. There's no rule that says you have to be a PGA Tour member. Remember, they've sent special exemptions and special invites to they sent it to that Indian guy Shubhankar Sharma because they wanted to grow golf in India. They don't have to give a reason. The guy got an invite to an invite-only golf tournament.
Yeah,
My question about this is,
I think it's a bummer that
this guy's name is
missed
Scott Stallings. Do you think that this guy knew? He's got to know of the other Scott Stallings, and his wife has the same last name. But he goes, I play golf too, but wow, nowhere near your level. Which made it sound like he had just discovered that there's another professional golfer named Scott Stallings who has the same name as his wife, whose wife is the same name as his wife also.
Imagine
he's got to play.
Imagine that first day. He like first second. He's like, I just got invited to the Masters. You know what I mean? Like this guy plays. This guy plays with his buddies and probably won a couple matches like to end his year. And he's like improved his game. He like goes to the range, and then like someone's like, you should join a tournament one day, like a 50 and older tournament. He's like, maybe I will next year. Like I'm moving to Arizona, the whole thing. And then he opens up the mail one day and he gets an invite. Him and his wife get an invite to play in the Masters. He's like, I fucking did it, man.
Right.
He's like, I fucking did it.
He's like, they must have seen those. They must have heard about those. Like, they heard about those matches, and
they heard about
that. You wouldn't, Jim. You wouldn't fucking believe what I just got now, dude. I'm going to the Masters, dude.
Boys, you know how I told you I think I figured out golf? I got invited to the Masters.
It's like when like you've got a funny friend in there and they say you should do stand-up comedy, and then you get an invitation from the Wilbur is like, will you come perform and do this? He's like, I won. I made a birdie on that 17th hole, and Augusta heard about it, and now I get to play in the Masters.
He just knocks on the front door, being like, I'm here. I don't know.
I played.
You invited me. I'm playing.
Nowhere near your level.
I love this guy.
Stuff, man.
I love this guy. I hope he ends up there. But yeah, incredible story. And I couldn't be more with Augusta. I like that they do it old school. When you do it that way, you're going to mix it up occasionally. I hope they continue to do it that way forever. And they don't check. They don't cross-reference. They don't reach out to people. They just trust their own system, send it. And if you get a fucking Scott Stallings, who's basically the same fucking person in Bizarro World, who's got the same wife and the same name and everything, that's a tough break. You're just gonna have to live.
He also goes, it's a really nice package, everything included that you need to play. There's definitely a moment where he said, like, wow, like I got the pass, I got the gate pass. We're doing it.
I'm fucking playing. That Scott Stallings needs to show up, and if Augusta has any sort of morals or principles, they will let this man play.
Yeah. All right. other than that, I think that's all I have for our first show of 2023, boys and girls. Kind of a long one, a lot to catch up on. I'll obviously keep everyone monitored on the Southwest Airlines CEO situation and my thoughts, on what should occur there going forward. But yeah, anybody got anything else?
Trying to think anything else.
I don't think so.
I had so much prosciutto, I couldn't get my watch off.
Just a big year ahead. Cool shit's going to start happening in the next couple of weeks. I'm excited.
Frankie, this is real. Are you going to die with this prosciutto bit?
Well, the thing that sucks is I've really turned it into like an Islanders thing. And, it gets a lot of traction now where everyone's like, cut the prosciutto. And it's like they win a game and I'm eating prosciutto. And then I go to the games and they have prosciutto at the games now. Like, we walked in the other day into the spotlight suite and they the guy there handed me prosciutto. And he's like, Frankie's here. And the place went crazy. It was just like now, I'm getting kind of paired with this salty meat that I do love. I love cured meats. My dad bought me 15 pounds, a leg. He bought me a leg. And this thing's been a burden on us. We bring it to every party. Bro, we had New Year's Eve at Borelli's and I brought the leg of fucking ham with me. And we walked in and everyone's cheering and we were cutting it. Dude,
how long
it's
until
a drug? That fucking prosciutto is a drug. I watch people take a little sliver of it, and then I watch them the rest of the night kind of meander over to it and look around and cut another piece. Once you get it in your mouth, you can't believe you're still eating it.
Well, first of all, you're a diabolical genius because everyone has been telling you that you have to stop eating prosciutto. And what you did is you tied it to the Islanders and their success. And you're like, well, I have to eat prosciutto exactly. because they're my favorite hockey team and they're winning and we're going to playoffs and blah, blah, blah. And two, I'm picturing you carrying that 15-pound leg into UBS, holding it over your head like Simba. And you're just walking down. People are like, Frankie,
smacking the meat.
No, you've really figured out how to make prosciutto an everyday part of your life.
Yesterday, I didn't have any prosciutto and the Islanders lost. Yesterday, the city of Seattle fucked me in the ass. Just absolutely ramshacked me.
Seahawks? Yeah.
The Seahawks beat the Jets, eliminated them from playoff contention, and the Jets didn't even score a touchdown. It was one of the worst games I've ever seen in my entire life. I mean, they just couldn't get anything going. And then that game ended and went right into an ESPN primetime Islanders at Seattle Kraken, both in Seattle. And the Kraken just dominated.
Dude, I watched that game because Riggs had me on the edge of my seat with his slip from the Barstool Sports book. Did you see that, Frankie?
No.
Dude, Frankie, look at this. I mean, I don't want to be that guy that complains about I had a 4-team parlay, so it's that's probably not going to hit. But first 3 legs hit of it, I had San Jose Sharks at Chicago Blackhawks over 6.5. This game, by the way,
do you hear these numbers?
This game was 1-0 halfway through the second period and ended up 3-2 at the end of the second period, and then ended up a pretty late goal ended up hitting the over. Buffalo Sabres at Ottawa Senators, I had under 6.5. I think the final score was 2-1. New York Rangers at Florida Panthers. I took the Rangers to win. They won. So now all I needed was the New York Islanders at the Seattle Kraken. I took Islanders money line. This was plus 1751. So I had 250 to win almost $5,000. The part that sucked about it was the timing just didn't add up for me to be able to cash out because it was 1-1 early in the second period in the Islanders Kraken game. And the other 2 bets were still going on, but they were most likely going to hit. And if those 2 things were just synced up an hour differently, I would have had an amazing cash out option.
$2,500.
Yeah.
$3,000.
And instead, by the time the other 2 ended up and they counted those as wins, the Islanders were down 3-1. So the cash out option was $400 on a $250 bet. Or if they come back and win the game, I win $5,000.
Oh,
I know. I was watching the whole fucking game and
shots.
It wasn't exciting. It really never felt like they were going to win, unfortunately.
No, they just never had it. Seattle must have just had a good break. Seattle was coming off losing 7 out of their last 8 after starting the season 14-1. So it felt like a trap game where it's you're there, you think the Islanders are going to be hot because they won 3 in a row. Fuck, man.
And I didn't put any of that research in. When they started talking about that during the second period, I was like, fuck, I wish I would have known that. I was just going all feel, just going through the board, being I'm going to feel this one out. And then once they said that, they're the Kraken have lost 3 in a row and the Islanders have won 3 in a row. And I was like, well, fuck, I would have never made that bet. So
no, never.
So I can't hear the word Seattle the same anymore after there was this video where they asked British fans at the World Cup to do impressions of American fans, and this guy goes, "Here we go, Seattle!" And after that, I just can't hear Seattle anymore.
Seattle's an interesting spot.
I like Seattle.
It's a very American word, Seattle.
It's beautiful.
It's
beautiful.
It is. I like Seattle.
Let's
I'm
turn
gonna go play pickleball. I hope my ass cheeks hold up. I really do.
Good luck.
I hope they do too. All right. Well, per usual, we'll be back Thursday. We're into a brand new year. Go check out our YouTube page, merchandise. Enjoy the Tournament of Champions. We'll be talking about it more on Thursday, I'm sure. Hit it hard.
Hit it hard.
Hit it hard.